Maraming salamat po. Maupo po tayo. Secretary Marroa, Secretary Greg Domingo, Secretary King Deles, Secretary Luwalhati Antonino, Representative Anthony Del Rosario, Mr. Paul Dominguez, my older cousin, Rafael Lopa, Governor Toto Mangandodato, Governor Piñol, of course, Governor Corazon Malañaon, who I've been looking at since I got into the... Oh, finally, you're smiling, Cora. I was observing you earlier and I was wondering if there was a typhoon. I was not apprised of because you look so serious. Now that you're smiling, my confidence is back. Members of the Philippine Business for Social Progress, other local government officials present, fellow works government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, Mayong Udto Sataran. In a sense, today's event is a homecoming of sorts for me. As you might know, my very first job was with the Philippine Business for Social Progress. It was founded in the 70s. PBSP worked on a very realistic premise that the success of business could not be divorced from the development of the communities in which they operate. May I just note that I was not a founding employee of the PBSP. At that time, PBSP was already pioneering a rather innovative approach to enterprise, a principle which we celebrate and promote today, inclusive business. Instead of viewing communities as mere locations for factories or markets for their products, PBSP and its partners sought to develop those communities into partners towards development, whether through PBSP's flagship program for tuberculosis control, for example, or the construction of public school classrooms through your initiative, or even the sustained promotion of corporate social responsibility in all of your activities. Thus, for more than 40 years, PBSP has reinforced a virtuous cycle of inclusiveness, equitability, and meaningful progress, one that has enabled countless Filipinos to live more dignified and productive lives. The initiative we launched today, the Mindanao Inclusive Agri-Business Program, comes at an opportune time as we seek to transform Mindanao from the land of promise to the land of promises fulfilled. This program, as shown by the business models exhibited outside the hall, outlines clear strategic imperatives towards harnessing the resources of Mindanao for the common good. Meanwhile, let me assure you that the points PBSP has suggested for our national agencies to implement are welcome input as we both work to make Mindanao a more attractive area for investments. We are well aware of the great potential of Mindanao, especially in terms of agriculture. Mindanao, after all, is our country's top source of rubber, cacao, pineapple, banana, coffee, and coconut. Over 40% of our food supply and more than 30% of the produce we trade domestically comes from Mindanao, not to mention its strong contribution to our fisheries production. Most important of all, however, is the fact that Mindanao has a people determined to succeed. For a long while, a good part of Mindanao was left on the margins. Self-interest and transactionalism bred a vicious cycle of poverty, political patronage, and underdevelopment. This in turn fueled the discontent of our brothers in the Bangsamoro. This was the narrative we had inherited, and this was the narrative we had committed to change. We reformed the system, invested in communities, synchronized the elections of ARM with our local and national elections, and worked towards building genuine consensus and trust, knowing full well that these were fundamental to our pursuit of peace. Today, thanks to all those who have put in the long days and nights for this part of our country, our countrymen in Mindanao see a new future on the horizon, the dawn of peace, stability, and ultimately prosperity. It is therefore only right that we commit further to the realization of this promise by finding ways to maximize the long-held prospects for growth for all stakeholders. Clearly, we must boost Mindanao's capacity so that they themselves may catch up and contribute to our economic growth. For instance, in infrastructure, a total of 3,491 kilometers of national roads and 208.4 kilometers of farm-to-market roads in Mindanao have been constructed, upgraded, or rehabilitated under our watch. From 2011 to 2014, over 99 billion pesos was allotted for the construction of vital infrastructure in the region, while for 2015, 63.13 billion pesos has been proposed for infrastructure in Mindanao. Early this year, the improvement of 161.3 kilometers of the Digos, Kidapawan, Pagalungan, Cotabato Road, together with the rehabilitation and strengthening of 39 bridges, was completed. Meanwhile, the Basilan Circumferential Road, which I mentioned in the recent SONA, is expected to be finished soon. Likewise, the Lake Lanao Circumferential Road project in Lanao del Sur, another major infrastructure project in the region, is targeted to be done by 2015. In line with this, since 2011, 16.2 billion pesos already been released for the construction, rehabilitation, and improvement of 410 kilometers of road networks under the Mindanao Logistics Infrastructure Network. This overall infrastructure plan for the region will further link our airports and seaports to the various food production and processing areas in Mindanao, thus reducing transport costs for our countrymen. Our strategy: connect rural farmlands to hubs of commercial activity, reduce dependence on middlemen, and by so doing, allow our farmers to gain more from their produce. Meanwhile, our Department of Agriculture, through its High Value Crops Development Program, continues to help build post-harvest facilities and provide equipment for the production of coffee, cacao, and rubber for the region. DTI likewise has initiated the Shared Service Facilities Project to give the micro, small, and medium enterprises, who are often the first consumers of agricultural produce and raw materials, better access to technology and equipment, allowing them to move even higher up on the value chain. I am told that 190 facilities of this nature have been set up in Mindanao, making greater efficiency possible in processing products like cocoa coir, cocoa twine, and rubber. These shared service facilities, in turn, have assisted 1,795 medium, small, and micro enterprises and have generated over 7,100 jobs in Mindanao alone today. These interventions are on top of our government's call for farmers to pursue intercropping as a measure that has the potential of vastly increasing the income of this sector. Growing coffee, bananas, or cacao alongside coconuts will not only diversify the produce of a community, but will more importantly enable the farmer to earn more, support his family more, and thus contribute more to spurring economic activity, not only in the short term. This would go a long way in ensuring that farming remains an attractive, viable livelihood for succeeding generations. I'm also glad to see that government is not alone in this endeavor. Through the Mindanao Inclusive Agri-Business Program, PBSP and its member companies and supporting agencies seeks to engage the private sector to invest in Mindanao by helping build the capacities of its small farming communities, thus enabling them to capitalize on the rich resources and the many opportunities available in the region. The objective for all of us, to build a Mindanao that can catch up in the soonest possible time, and by so doing, create a regime of opportunities where no Filipino is left behind. I am told that even prior to this launch, certain companies have already responded to the call to advance inclusive business in Mindanao. We have Nestle, which through its agronomy and Farmer Connect programs has not only equipped local farmers with the knowledge and technique for coffee production, but also directly purchases their produce, consequently giving the local community a sustainable source of income. There is also Bali Oil, which taps poor farmers from communities in Mindanao as contract growers of oil palm trees. In the next 5 years, the company plans to expand operations and provide livelihood to 22,500 households in the region. Finally, there is Kennemer Foods International, whose strategy has been to train farmers from rural areas how to plant cacao and accordingly purchase from them their produce. I'm told that KFI aims to generate jobs for 18,833 households in Palawan, Mindanao, and Visayas by 2016. Of course, if the number increases, definitely we will not object. Throughout my entire life, and perhaps especially after working for PBSP, I've always believed that the private sector can play an invaluable role in keeping the dynamo of development engaged at full throttle. Your examples, without doubt, serve as concrete models of how we can further enhance the capacities of Filipinos towards the benefit of all. Indeed, I cannot overstate just how grateful we are for all that has been done. After so many decades of underdevelopment, there is indeed a new era of hope in this region, hope founded on concrete achievements. Through the pursuit of peace founded on justice, we now cast away the divisions of the past and thus forge a more prosperous, more inclusive region. If the public and private sectors remain committed to the same vision, and if we maintain the synergy and trust that we have so far harnessed to undeniably positive results, we can look forward to a Mindanao that will serve as a true convergence point of trade and opportunity, not only for the Philippines, but also for our region. In the coming days, I, together with some members of the Cabinet, will visit Europe and the United States, carrying with us a resounding message. Integrity works, reform works, the Philippines works. We have lengthened our strides and continue to cultivate a level playing field in a society of fairness, stability, and inclusiveness. The changing face of Mindanao is among our greatest sources of pride. It is a region that once was mired in strife, and it soon will realize its dreams of peace and prosperity, of innovation and advancement, of being a wellspring of opportunity for its peoples. This, I believe, is the great legacy we work towards, a legacy we proudly can bequeath to the next generation of Filipinos. Thank you. Good day.